Hello guys, I'm going to break this so down that if you don't understand this now, you're not going to understand it anywhere else. That's why you need to work with me. All right, follow me. Okay, I'm going to teach you the act of creating components, mastering components. All right, now just so you know, I did not rehearse this. All right, everything we're going to do here, we're going to do from scratch. We're going to work together. Work with me. I'll teach you how to create components. Now, before I tell you the how, I'm going to have to tell you the why, so there is more relevance to the how. Okay? One of the whys to creating components is that it creates consistency, right? Meaning that you get to like reuse design elements across your project, right? Now, that's one of the reasons. Now, the second reason is that it saves your time. Obviously, if you're able to create reusable components, meaning that you can just call the instance at any point of the project, you need this particular component, right? You don't have to go copying, you can just come to your asset and fetch a component. You see? All right. So, having that, right, in your arsenal saves you a lot of time, right? Now, collaborate efficiently. Now, just so you know, when working with team members, right, the chances of people wanting to do their own is very high, right? But if you guys are working with components that serves as a single source of truth, right, anything that changes from the main reflects everywhere else. If a team member wants to build a page, he reflects to the component library and then fetches the necessary, is that fetches, is that right? Fetch the necessary elements he needs, right? To work on a particular part of the project. You see, collaboration becomes more efficient. Okay. Fourthly, iterate quickly. Obviously, that's another like obvious point. If you have a single source of truth, right, and you want to change something across board, right, you don't have to go changing it one after the other. You just go to that place and you change one thing, you change it from the master component, it reflects everywhere else. You see? Aha. And beyond just that, you can iterate quickly, meaning that if your component is robust enough, right, you can make quick iterations like maybe add a property, remove a property, and just super fast, right? Now, number five is establish design system. You cannot talk about design system without talking about components, right? Because with components, you can build a good design system, right? You can establish a good design system, ensuring cohesive user experience across the product, right? And then talk about micro interaction. Oh my god! And I think that's one of the most recent things that what's the word? Figma did, right? That you can create components and its variants can interact with each other within the same, yeah, like just within the same master component, right? Variants can interact with each other. We're going to experiment with this, and I think I'm going to do this my second video, not this video, but just stay with me. All right. Now, first thing first, we're going to be working with is buttons. Buttons, guys. Buttons, right? And then we'll go with input field, and you know this, you can apply it anywhere else. All right. All right, guys, we're going to be working on two major elements: a button and input field. An input field, right? So I want you to follow me, pay attention to me. So first thing first, we're going to draw a frame like so. Okay, I had my shape, I'm just making it like what, somewhere around square, right? And we're going to call this frame button, right? It is important you name your frame, right? It is super important, right? Now, after that, we're going to create a text, right? And we're going to call it button text. Now you see, this is what size 16. Pay attention, this is size 16. All right. Now, How you can go about this in three ways, right? In creating a component, you can choose to wrap this in an auto layout, hard auto layout like so, okay? You see, or you can choose to say go with traditional frame, wrap it in a frame, okay? Or you could just go ahead and turn this into a what component like so. Click on create component, right? You see, this is one way you can do it. I think another way you can do it is come in here and say create component. The shortcut is Control Alt K, right? Now, the route I want to go with is where you turn it into an auto layout, right? And just bear in mind, if you eventually do create a component straight up, it's going to be wrapped with like a frame component, right? No auto layout, nothing, just like a frame, but it is a component. Now you can go ahead and start working on it, right? Or you can actually convert this frame like so. The way you convert normal traditional frame into component, you can convert this frame into a component by just clicking here. You see, we just did, right? But I'm just giving you like an OT. One of the fast routes you can go is just click on it, say, what's the word? Add auto layout, right? When you do, you can just choose to give it a stroke just so you know exactly what you're working with, right? Now, this text here, I normally make it like 16 plus 8. I normally do this, right? And I'm going to tell you why, right? And this is just for inter line height, depending on the typeface author, it varies, right? Or the structure of the typeface, it varies. But like that's why I love inter so much. It just works so much for digital products, right? But then so we got this right. Now after the auto layout, you can set the padding to I'm gonna set the horizontal padding to 16, like so. I'm gonna set the vertical padding to say let's say 12, like so. Now, just so you know, we have the height of the button normally, right? It's already 48. I love this, right? I love this. Now, moving forward, you can adjust the padding and the height depending on the type or the variant you're working on. And I'm going to explain all of this better moving forward. Now we're going to create a component like this. Ladies and gentlemen, we have created a component. All right. All right. All right. All right. We're going to spice this up real quick. All right. And I like this, right? And I'm going to tell you before we start delving into this component, right? Making it robust. There's something you need to know about components. When you hear the word components, right? Or let me use this say you are talking components, you are talking properties. I love that one. You're talking components, you're talking properties. Now you see, okay, now because a component can have multiple properties, right? Meaning that I can have this variant somewhere else. No, let's do this. You're talking components, you're also talking variant. No, yes, you are talking variant and you're talking components, you're talking instance, right? Because you remember the whole essence of components defined um, in the wise is to create consistency, and again, it saves your time. All of this due to the reusability nature, right? Meaning that this here that I have created this component means that it's already existing in my asset. Make sure your asset is set to local so it just sees everything within um, the file. All right. Now you see, I'm already seeing this and I can drag this and use it anywhere, anytime I want, provided I'm within the file. Right. I can also publish this out to use it somewhere else. I think probably we'll talk about that like at the ending of this class, of this tutorial, right? But yeah, this is just what you're gonna know. What you should know. Instance, right? Properties, meaning that you can say you can create properties like say you could change what's the word, create different variants, you can make it boolean, like as it's stated here, like so. You can create properties for the text, in the sense that say you're creating like a local storage, more like that I want to be able to change my text without necessarily clicking into the text or into the instance, right? I want to be able to swap my icons or yeah, instances within the component or within an instance without necessarily detaching it or changing it from the master component. Boolean, I want to be able to toggle on and off a an instance or a property, right? We're going to talk about this. And then variants, you want to be able to create different variants, right? Meaning that my button is this, like so outline. I want to have field and all of that. We're going to talk about that real quick. So you're talking component, you're talking properties, all right? Now we're going to be creating button with just three different states: default state or active state, and hover state and disabled state. That's all, right? And then probably we're going to create like maybe arrow left, arrow right, and all of that, right? So just stay with me, okay? Now I have broken that down, right? So yes, just to recap for you guys, when you're talking components, you're talking properties, right? When you're talking components, you're talking instances, reusability, right? You see, okay, and just when dealing with component, there are like 2 3 ways of achieving one particular thing. I want you to have that in mind, right? I might not talk about all of them, but you would get it. The foundational knowledge should help you build as wild as possible to go crazy with component, right? So I'm just gonna zoom out, right? So we back. All right, guys. So now this here is an outline. We don't want an outline. We want to create a field button, right? So I just use my Shift X to swap. Or if you don't want to do Shift X, just click on fill, remove the stroke, make this black. So go to your file so we can see our structure, right? And then make this what? White, like so. All right. Now you see what we just did right now is we just like adjusted the properties of this particular component. Now we're gonna be doing this more often moving forward, right? That's what you just know that. So this here that says frame 860, we're gonna change it to what? Button, right? I mean, so this is that. Now I'm clicking on this component. Remember, I say you're talking components, you're talking variant. So we can add variants. And you see, remember, we're working on 3 states: default or active, and then hover, and then disabled state, right? So you see what we got here right now. We're going to change it to what? No, sorry, this one, clicking on this, we're going to change it to what? Somewhere right around hover state, right? And that's just for the states. Remember, we're going to be creating other properties like or other variants like secondary buttons, not necessarily secondary buttons, let's just say outline buttons, right? And buttons that has arrow left, right, all of that, icons. I mean, buttons with icons. We're going to learn all of that. So you just stay with me. All right. So we got a few. You're going to change this here. You don't have to change this since this is just hover, but you can tilt it down a little bit. Not too much so it does not look disabled, right? So you go ahead, you create another variant, say like so. And now this is meant to look disabled. So you go a little bit washed out the color. And here you also go what? Washed out. Now it looks what? Disabled. All right. Now you see we got this now. Now remember, if I go to the asset, I'm seeing my buttons. I'm seeing my button, right? That asset. It's an asset. This is an element with different what? Properties. Now you see I have a variant 2 property, I have a variant 3 property. See that? With I have different variants with different properties. Now you see that. And now in this part now is just we're just tweaking with it. We're just playing with the colors, right? We're gonna don't worry, we're gonna cook real good today. So click on this now. You see that this particular button, right, is can this particular button has properties that can be edited just to make sure it's easily identifiable. So this property that says property 1, we're going to change it to what? To state. Now the first one is default. You could leave it at default or you could say active, right? Let's just leave it at default, right? And then we got this that says what? Hover, right? And then we got this that says what? disabled. Love it. All right. Now, just so you know, you can make this too interactive, but I mean, we're not going to do that right now. I'm going to explain that on the, what's the word? The micro interaction video. So you watch out for that. Now, you see, after this right here, if I drag this out like so, now we're saying hover and disabled. You click on it, it goes to hover. You click on it, it goes to disabled. You see that? All right. States. Now we just did that, guys. We just did that. Oh my God. All right. So we're going to do something else with the icons. Now, this here, I want you to pay super close attention, right? Because this is one of the things that are really important when it comes to components. That you want to be able to swap an icon within a button without necessarily detaching it or tampering with the master component. You see, this is super important, and I'm going to explain it to you just now. Now, remember, guys, this, let me just state some facts. This component you see, right, with multiple variants in it, right, can be turned to an auto layout. Now, the reason I probably would recommend auto layout is just so you can arrange it as good as fine as possible, organize it, right? But then you can say like the elements automatically took a property of fill on the auto layout. You can take it back to fixed, right? And then you see you got this, and then you can duplicate as much as possible instead of going to create variant. All right. But then I'm just going to remove the auto layout. Let's work with the very basic, guys. Let's remove it. So I'm going to increase this here because everything we want to create, I want to make sure it is within this component. Every variant should be within this component. I don't want you going outside of this component to create different components. I want it variant. You see that? If it's outside, if it's built outside this purple line, you see, it becomes a different component from this, right? This is just components with different superpower, right? Which makes them variant. Now, anyways, let's go ahead and we can click on the tree and just drag it by holding your shift and your alt, right, like this. You can click on it, copy, and just paste. Let me see. Yeah, I'm paste. You see, and paste and just drag it down like so. You see, and these are like easy ways, right? Or you could just go through the pain of creating variants and then changing it like that. But yeah, I'm gonna just duplicate this or create a variant. Really, okay? Let's just create a variant, right? And before we create other states like this, right? Let's just work on the base first, right? First, let's work on the base, okay? And probably would have a reason to just duplicate this or convert all of this, right? And I would explain something really cool for you guys. You get this. Now, I'm going to go to, what's the word? My action, go to my blogging, and pick on feather icons. That's what I want us to use. That's what I want us to use, guys. All right. When I pick it out, you see it's loading, it's loading, it's loading, it's loading, it's loading, it's loading. Okay, good. Now, with this now, you can see that there are icons I can take. I'm going to take this icon, right? Click on it. It's just going to appear somewhere. Okay, this is it. Just make sure it's not inside here, right? That's right. Then we're going to take another icon. Check mark, right? Check mark. Or should we just do plus? Let's do a plus button instead. But I'm going to just have all of this, right? Now, let me explain something for you guys. This icon like this, bear in mind, I can take it inside here and it will sit, right? But then it will not be, I won't be able to swap it. Now you see that, hold up. I can take it inside. Now remember, we're using auto layout. It is not adapting well because this is not yet set to hug. Hug is saying that, okay, I want it to hug every content within and respect them while keeping the what? Horizontal margin, padding, sorry. So hugging is respecting that this guy is within and makes what he protects or is still yet consistent It's still yet consistent with the padding added. So it's just hugging it, right? So it's not entering it, it's just hugging. So from here like this to here is 16. So that's the hug while respecting the padding that is being added, which is 16. Right now, remember this is white. This is black, sorry. So we turn it to white. Now you see this guy here, just so you know, if I should go to our asset, drag out a button, right? And I change this to, now remember, this is state 4. We're going to change this in a bit. Just bear with me. Stay with me, oh. This is like a added variant on a particular property, and it's not supposed to be so. I'm going to explain, guys. Stay with me. Now you see this. Now, this guy here, I cannot swap it. I can't replace this icon. I can't until I detach it or until I change it here, which is not what we want, which is not what component is supposed to make your life easy. So I'm going to teach you. So this here is not going to be just a frame. It's going to have to be an instance. Ooh, okay. If this is going to be an instance, it means that it needs to have a component. Okay. Let's take it outside. Let's turn it back into black. I see all these icons I just created. You have to turn them into a component. Now, a trick is you can highlight all of them and click on create multiple components. You turn all of them into components individually. Now, if there's one thing with components is that for you to have a very organized library set or asset, right? Your naming convention has to be on point. All right. So components like this, you can say icon, right? Outline, can go as far as saying 24 pixel or depending on the pixel, because I know icon library, when creating a proper icon library, is all to be scaled in different numbers, right? For different purpose, right? Because of the thickness of the stroke and so many other things to consider. That's why we scale, right? Now, after that, just see this. We're gonna hit our enter. Now, a tip is, okay, I'm gonna make these icons, right? A tip is I am going to copy this, right? And I can just choose to rename this to right, but let's just leave it like that. This here, I'm going to paste the same naming convention here and change this to plus. And I'm going to show you the benefit of this real quick, right? Here also, I'm going to change it to what? To what? Check mark. I'm going to show you the benefit of this. Now you see, all of these you see here are components. They are not instance. How they become instances when you go to the local host, to the local assets, right? Remember, local assets, drag one of it outside. Now you see what you got. If I click on this here, the swap instance, you see how it organizes the file for me. I click on icon. If I have a field icon, I'm going to also see it here. You see? Now you see? You see that? Can you see? Super organized. So I can drag I can swap it with any of that. I can just easily swap it. You see? Now, stay with me, oh. Stay with me. From here, you can go to the main component like this. It will just spotlight the main components, right? So many other things. And here you can detach an instance. You can just detach it. Say, I don't want to work with an instance. Probably I want to maybe make something custom out of it. Just detach an instance. Because when it is an instance, just so you know, you can't really alter it. When something is made a component and you're interacting with the instance, you can't alter it. It has to be altered from the master component, from the main component. You see that? Now you see, those are like some of the things. You can detach it. You can turn an instance into a component. But just so you know, you can interact with the instance within the components you created. You see? Okay. Let me slow down there. All right, just stay with me. Oh. I'm gonna delete this. Now, guys, I can drag a right like this right icon into this, like so, and what I can change the color. You see that? All right, guys. So I can change the color. You see that? Okay. Now we are going somewhere. Now, just so you know, I can go further, right? And now you can see that this is still what 48. Why? Because this component is just 24, right? And this here is 24. So the padding are still intact. You see, I can go ahead and change the stroke just because probably I want it to be a lot similar with the text stroke. Okay, so you see that. Now the spacing now, remember we're using auto layout. Probably I'll just make it right around 4. You see that? Okay. Now we are good to go. Now you see this icon here, right here, can now be interacted with. Aha, I know you're thinking something. No, we are not even there yet. Because this, I'm going to show you how much of superpower this can become. Right? So stay with me. So you see all these guys we got here. Now you can just go ahead and duplicate this, right? Duplicate this and then change it to all of this property. I could just come here, copy property, paste property, say like this. Remember the it's gonna also copy the property that was up at the time, right? So I could just adjust all of this here, the padding to right around 8. Probably that's like pretty much the only thing I need to adjust. So I can then say I can just duplicate this into 3 like so. You see that? And then when I do that, I just go ahead, copy the property. Pretty much it's just color code, really. Just the color code. So I can just copy the color code in peace. Here we got 2 color codes in play, this and this. So I'll paste this. I'll paste this for the text, right? And then I'll paste this for the for the disable for the background, like so. Now you see that. Okay, all right. Normally, if you have like a system, you should have just use that to a design system in play. You just use that to work it out. All right. Well, we're not working with a design with a color system. Sorry. All right. So yes. Now we got this. Now let's do something interesting, guys. Remember that all of these states are not supposed to be here because these are just this. All of this you see here. This is still falls under the default state. This here still falls under the hover state, and this here, sorry, this here still falls under the disabled state. And just so you know, you can add variants by clicking on this plus you see here. So to just duplicate the particular text, right? You're clicking add variant from, right? So something like that. But then back to what I was saying. So you see, we've made sure they are all that. But now you see they are conflicting. They are conflicting. They are conflicting. And the reason the properties are conflicting is because now get this one. These states we just have one property, right? And the disparity between them is just the field. So he's seeing it as conflicting because the field are still what similar. You see, the field are still similar. If I should change this to red, I change this to whatever, right? And I change this to this. Now see, watch, pay attention. It's still conflicting, right? Because you cannot use a particular what state on a particular variant of a property, right? In more than one element. You gotta be like one variant and property. One variant of a property is assigned to one element, like that, like that. I'm gonna undo this now, right? I just needed to make sure you get that, right? So what we can do, right, is to create an alternate or added variant. So we can say that, what's the word? This here, right, But you're not just this, there's something else added, right? Meaning that you can use multiple, you can use a variable and another variable, and it will be seen unique. Do you get? Now let me explain this like practically, right? Now since I already stated that you can use this, right, because we're already using it here for this, right? You see it as they're conflicting. Guy, I can't, like, why are you using, like, what the hell? I'm still like seeing similar properties, right? It's conflicting. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add another property, right? Now how you do that is simple. Just click on what here, add variant, right? Not even there. Click on the property like so. Click here. Make sure you're clicked on this property. Click here. That's this property, and create variant. Now this variant, we'll call it what? Icon right. Or let's even say right icon like this. I see we have a value that says default, but we don't want that value. We want it to say yes or no. Okay. Now I'm going to show you something else. So, because what we're doing here is similar to Boolean, right? True and false, true or false, right? Now, since we already have an icon saying yes, bear in mind everything right now is saying yes because we don't have an alternative just yet. Now, these three here, we're going to select them and we're going to click on this icon. I'm going to add another and say what? No. Ladies and gentlemen, the conflicting is gone. Because right now, this guy can say that, okay, there is a distinction in property. You see? Because we've added another property, right? To say this is a no and this is a yes. So there is a uniqueness in terms of property. You see that? Now, probably I'm not explaining this well, and I hope you really get it. Right? We're going to give it another shot, and hopefully you get it even more. Right? So now, I'm going to see this guy we got here now. It does automatically turn to a toggle state. Like this. You see? You see what we just did? Right? Now, there's even a better way to do this. Right? Now, I'm going to undo what I just did, guys. I need to undo it, right? So I'm paying attention to this. When this is gone, I'm good, right? See, there's still confliction, right? Now, there's something called appearance, Boolean property, right? You can create a Boolean property directly from appearance. Now, this way you get to say icon. Let's say right icon. And right now is true. You see, here you can assign that property you created like so. Yeah, you can assign that property you created to it like so. Now you can see that it is still conflicting, right? It is definitely still conflicting because you are adding a property, right, through this method, through Boolean, is not what enough distinction. And I'm going to say this, right? If you're going to do what you just did, right, you don't need this variant, right? Meaning that this guy here, you don't need it. What you need is just this guy because you can literally say toggle on, toggle off. Now, this is actually a better way to create a very robust. You can create a robust button set without even creating plenty property. Yup, I said it. Now, I don't want to teach you guys this first just because I want you to get the traditional method. This is simply an evolution. This is like this happened, I think, last year, sometime last year or this year, if I'm not mistaken, right? So let's take it up a little bit so we can duplicate this icon, take it back, right? Paste this at the back, take this back, take this, duplicate this, take this back. I think this one here is should be take this back, right? And you see all of them are still carrying the property, right? If I disconnect it and create another property and say left icon, right? And this guy now, I detach this and I assign a boolean appearance to the left, and I assign this detach and assign to the left. Now, just so you know, I don't need, see, now you see this. This is super nice. It's super nice. I like this one. And you see what we are doing, right? Now I'm showing you the future, right? But I want us to exist in the past just so we can have appreciation for the future, right? Because just so you know, developers might not be able to interpret this. I think they need to turn their development tool and then really see what we got going on here. And then they can open their playground and then interact with it. You see? You see what we're doing? All right. So, yep. And then the good thing is when you work like this, right? You don't just leave it to developers to figure out what's going on. It means that you are still yet, right, by best practice, compelled to create a kind of like a when you're organizing your file, still create it like this. Just so you can explain to them that okay, oh, there's something like this, there's something like that, there's something like this, you know. You can turn this off, just leave that on. You can do both. So they know that there is a set like this. You see this? Simple. Now we need to exist in the past to have appreciation for the future. So I'm just gonna take this back a little bit. We're gonna undo. We're gonna undo like so bad. We're gonna undo, bring back our variables. I love where this went to, like, I'm super excited. Guys, I am super excited. Now you see, for distinction, what do we have to do? Remind me. Now it's conflicting. What do we have to do? Okay, you guessed it right. We need to create another property, right? By clicking on the master component or the component itself, and then click on variant, right? And say right icon. Say yes. Okay. Okay, I think we need to drop one of this. Yes, we need to drop it. I think we created it sometime back, right? So you see, and then we click on this, right? Remember, when you create a property first, it assigns it to everything else, right, that exists in that master component. So we'll now create an alternative value that says what? No. There's a distinction now. He knows there is no confliction. Now see, this guy now has the toggle, right? Now we go ahead and, oh my god, it's just such a pain, right? We'll just duplicate this like so. Okay, duplicate this. These icons we got here, we'll move it back, right? I remember it has done its thing. It has created okay, that's cool. It didn't create multiple. I thought it was going to create multiple values, but it didn't, right? So I'm going to go to our right icon. I'm going to say, sorry, properties, right? We're going to say add variant, and we'll say left icon, right? We'll say yes. Remember, everything else is what? Yes. You select on everything else except these three and set a value that says what? No. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have both icon left, icon right. Now, just so you know, okay, you can see this two is toggling up because there is a flaw. This guy here is supposed to be icon left, icon right, yes, right, and then icon left, no. This here is supposed to be icon right, no. icon left. Yes, this is supposed to be no for both of them. Now you see we have them. See the way they are switching? The reason they can't both exist is because we don't have a component that supports both existing. We don't have a variant that supports both existing. Let's fix that. I'm going to give it space in here a little bit. So let's duplicate this like so. Now, let's say yes and let's say yes. There's no conflict because we're going to duplicate this, put it here like so. Duplicate this, put it at the front. Duplicate this, put it at the front. Now, guys, both of them can exist. Both can exist. Now, I know you guys are seeing different icons. Let me reset it. Okay. Whenever you see, remember we tried swapping earlier. So, yeah. Whenever you see different icons, so we got this, right? So one can be on, it picks from here, picks from this guy. Another one can be on, it picks from these two, and so on and so forth. You see? Now this is components happening like so. All right. Now we have this. Let's do something else, right? And just so you know, this same method, right? And I don't think you should be bothering yourself with this, right? When you can focus on things like border radius. Do you want this one to have border radius? Do you want this one to not have border radius? Because they are like, or outline and non-outline. Like, I feel like when it comes to the appearance of an icon on and off, what I taught you with the appearance, you should use that. Actually, right? Actually, you should use that. So making use of something like this is all you need. Is really all you need, right? So I'm going to go ahead and delete these three, all of this here, right? And keep just this one, right? And then you see this guy, I'm going to highlight three of them. Appearance, I'm going to set property for the left that says true. Now, I still believe somehow you could find your way into creating a property, right? I know like there's a way here, Boolean, right? But then I somehow find it, oh yeah, you can say left icon, right? Left icon. Now what you just did here, obviously you would not be able to, okay guys, remember all of this here we created. Let's drop them. Now we just created this one here. Guess where it went? If I click on this now, it's somewhere around appearance waiting for me to select. Oof. Same thing you did do for all of this, you just select the appearance left. Now we have toggle on and off for appearance left, for the left icon. So you do for the same thing here, right and left. Now it's not existing. You can create directly from here, or you can choose the long route. So I can say right icon. Now you see we got it. Left, right. Oof, that was good. Now let's make swapping possible. Now say you want to change this icon. How are you gonna do it? You'll be like, okay, you just enter it and you change. Yep, you are not wrong. But what if I don't want to enter it? So what in that case, you just select the elements like so, and then you go ahead and what? Create a component, a swap instance like this. Swap instance. Now the long route to do that is come property and say swap instance, and you can say icon left holder. Let's just call it holder for a reason, right? Is it that it's long or what? Okay. Now check this out. I don't know what's going on. Oh, we're gonna fix it, right? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. We need to pick. Um. Hmm. All right. Oh, okay. So why are you still stressing me? Eh? Why are you still stressing me? Okay. Okay. Let's change this to folder. We really don't need this, right? Just need a default element. Oof. So yes, now let me explain what I just discovered. So now, in attempts to wanting to go through the longer route, right? Remember I showed you the shorter route. Say by coming to the create property like so and clicking on instant swap. Now I can say icon left holder, but I need to pick a default value, a default instance, right? Which is say, let me say plus, right? The moment I say create property, you won't see nothing yet because they've not been assigned. I click on this and I go to where? Where do I assign it, guys? Where do I assign it? I simply just go to, what's the word? Click here and say apply instant swap. Let me zoom in. Here, click here and say apply instant swap. Okay, when you do that, you see an option for you to select the property you just created. Icon left. You see automatically just changed towards that plus. We'll probably need to change this to white, right? Because you know when an icon exists, to when it's coming on board, since it is different icon set, not different icon, different icon with multiple layers. Remember, this is just one layer, right? When it's multiple layers, it tends to like not match exactly, right? Again, that's why it's recommended to when you're dealing with icon swap, make sure you are getting icon from the same library, right? From the same library, right? The chances of them matching up that you having to manually adjust is very high. And this is an advice. All right. So, yep, we did that. So you apply that same thing for all of these niggas here. Apply, right? Icon left, right? And then change this to whatever default they are carrying. This guy here is supposed to be white. Right. So you see, now what we just did, the the impact of this is that now we no longer have to click in to swap our icon. Now we can just say left icon, icon left order, you find a different icon and you change. You find a different icon and you change. You no longer have to go inside. It becomes that easy. You see? Oh, easy guys should understand this. All right. So same thing for this right hand guy, right? Let's just click on it, right? The shortcut to this, right, would now be us going to just say create. Where's that guy? Firstly, we need to um, click on apply and then create property and say icon, right? Okay, folder. Now this here you can change this default to plus like we did before, or you can just leave it at what it was earlier, right? But then you create, you see. Now the gist is you can change it like so. Now, of course, you still have this issue. Remember what I explained earlier? So you can go in, right, and then adjust, right? Chances that you will not experience moving forward is very high. But in cases like disabled where we muted the colors, we probably might need to make an adjustment there, right? So, but since, yeah, so yo, that's what's up. All right. So I think we've been able to cover this. Now with this understanding, you are good to go. But we've not touched on something. And you guys are not telling me. We've not touched on something yet. And that is text. If I want to change the text, I have to enter and change Abby. That's not what we want. Mba. That's not what we want. Also, the side effect or good the impact to we using hug, right, and staying true to our auto layout is that when typing a text, it just goes long, it adapts, right? So just thought to mention that, right? Also, for the text property is simple. The longer route is go here, property creates text and say label. And your default value will be button text. Like so. And create property. And when you do that, you simply just go to your text property, apply text property, and you see the label, right? The shorter route will be just click on your text. If you had not created it before, you just go straight up to create property like so. You see, like this. Oh my god, I hope you guys were seeing my screen very well. But good, right? So I zoomed out already. So yes, now I'm going to do something real quick. I am going to apply this label here, this label here. And you see, I can change my text here. Send and remove this. Add, right? Remove this. Should be supposed to be at the back. Then you change this to plus. If it is not adjusting, you adjust. Double click inside gun and edit like so. You see? So, yep, guys, and we are good. Oof, this is so good. I love explaining this, right? And you see, we can check in, check out, check in, and do so many other things. Yeah, good. Now, if you want to, what you should be worrying about is probably applying different colors to this. Since this is like, let's consider this to be a neutral button. So your primary button will probably be, let's say, somewhere around this, right? And then here, since this is going to be an hover state, or yeah, you just make it darker, right? Since you know you're going to create multiple shades, right? Aha, this looks more like like the primary main. But then this guy here probably needs to make it look fader, and off. And then this button text has to be somewhere around the uh yeah, those colors need to be selected, and then you can make it somewhere right around here, or you can put it to white and drop the opacity, really, right? So this is exactly what we're talking about. So you see, this is it for buttons, right? Now, since you already have this, what you could do, right, in terms of creating distinction between these two, is to simply just go to your property end here. And now remember, see, all the state has been added. We don't need all those states. We really do not. We'll just go ahead and create another property and call it what? And call it um button type. Button type. Remember, we have neutral. We're gonna assume this black. That's what it is, right? And then we'll create property. Now remember, this would also be what? Neutral. This here. Something is happening. Yep. Okay, I just had to press my escape. Now this is going to be neutral also. So you change this button type from neutral, you add a value, and you say what you call it primary. You see that? Now remember, you go ahead and you start to map this default, hover, and then what? Disabled. Now you see this thing has become so robust that you can say, okay, let's just make use of primary button and then add like a left icon, and then probably change it if we want to change the text if we want to, right? And let's say a disabled state, and everything is just, you have all of that to your disposal. Come on, guys. Also, this guy here, same reason, right? All this, you can see the unevenness in weight. That's because you're making use of another icon that has multiple layer, right? So yep, I don't think that's something you should worry yourself about. You can easily just change it here, and it's probably going to reflect. So if I'm saying 1.5, it's probably going to reflect across board. So you see, what we just did now, see, is reflecting here because the weight is still yet consistent. If I take it here, see, it is still yet consistent. If I change the button type to neutral, the weight is still yet consistent. You see, it actually saved it up. All right. So yeah, I think we're good. The same thing would happen for the colors. So if I say primary color, let me say go to hover state or disable state, you can see the disparity, right? So I'll just probably, since we are doing using a fill here, just select this white here, that particular end, and make it that. I am pretty sure that it saved it. I am pretty sure that it saved it. Oh my god, he overdid it. He now went to go and had 43 for others, right? Then again, this is why exactly you should have what you should have you should fetch from a consistent structure of icons. All right. But then I think we are good. This is so good, right? And this should be all really. I don't think I need to talk about input field, because if I want to talk about input field now, we're doing the same thing, right? Let's do something quick, right? So we create a, say, let's call this label, right? And we create another one. I will call this placeholder text. Remember, we'll make this auto layout. You can choose to use a frame if you want to. We'll make this what? An auto layout. Where do we do that? Hard auto layout, like so. Now, in this hard auto layout, remember our original structure. This has to be 24. Okay, left, right, 16. Top right, 12. Right, give it a stroke alpha. Right, so these two here, you want to join it together. So the spacing in between them could be 12, really. Right, could be 12, right? And we got this already. Could be 12, you could bring it down to 8. 8 works. Okay. Yep. So now we got this. And this is a little bit more complex. Now this guy here, make sure your auto layout is set to the left. I don't really want to talk about this because you need a lot knowledge of auto layout to an extent get this, but yes, see how this works. Set it to the left, so when you are increasing it, it does not follow along, right? Now I want it to be that if you increase the entire frame, now pay attention, this here is an auto layout, and then this text here to this, they are both auto layout. They are both in an auto layout. Okay. So yes, now we have the basic structure, right? The same formula I taught you here, apply it here. It works. Oh, she. So we'll do something, right? We'll go and get an icon. Okay? And this icon, we'll find an email icon. This one. Okay? I will just turn it into components. Remember the same thing we did. Call it icons, right? Say outline. And then mail. Right? You see that? Same level. We'll drop an instance here. You see, now this is not working out. Why? Because this is not set to what? To hug. Now this guy here is not hugging too because it's not set to hug. You see, it's supposed to be set to hug. Now this guy here now needs to stop being in hug, right? To start being in feel. Now I explain to you what just happened. Let me take it a step back. Probably let me do this right? So this guy here, I need to increase it. Okay? But I really do not have to, right? If this guy here was set to hug. You see that? Did you understand? Let me turn off the AC. Let's confirm. All right. Now you see this. This guy here needs to be set to hug. Why? And this guy here needs to be set to hug also. But it doesn't have to be set to hug. Right? It should be set to feel. And this guy here should always be right. Because I want this guy here adapting to this guy. So I don't want this guy halfway. I want it all the way. You see that? Let me explain this again. Let's take it back. Let's take it back. Remember when I added the icon, right? Remember we are dragging an instance from here into this, right? Now you see what just happened. It is cutting. Okay. Now this guy here needs to be set to, does not have to be set to hug. It has to be fixed, right? Meaning that this here should adapt to this guy. So I'm pretty much just going to increase this. And as I do increase it, are you seeing what's happening? This guy is going along with it. You see that? Okay. Okay. Now, the same logic I taught you guys. This here, now remember, we've not even turned this component just yet. So we're going to go ahead and turn it into what? A component. Now you see? And this guy here should be set to what? Simply just go to appearance. Same logic. Left icon. Right? Bam. Okay? Then the front. Similar logic. Right? Detach this and go ahead and create right icon. Remember, there's a long route to this. I can go ahead, click the component and start doing share and go ahead and click on property and then add a boolean and then select it, apply it, and all of that. I just showed you the shortcut, right? So you see, and this guy, let's even change it to an eye, right? Let's say we can find our icon. Let's say show eyes. This. So now there's something happening I do not like. You see, it is not respecting my margin. So if I increase it, it's not respecting my margin. What do we do in that case, guys? It's simple. It's simple. This two inside here has to be auto layout. And this guy here needs to be on his own. Then you set it to auto. Auto pushes this guy to the back to start to stay fixed. So auto is that both this component and both these components are sticked to both end. Right? I think in CSS we call it space in between. Can plaster at both end. So as you increase this guy here, they are both plastered to both end. Increase it from here, plastered to both end. You see? Now what we just did here, right, is that if we, let's go to file. Let's name this what? Input. Okay. If this guy here is set to left, you see what just happened? Oof, I love the fact that this happened. And that's why testing is important, really. The icon at the right just left. This one just left. All right. So this here, let's make use of the eyes icon. Let's just search it out. That way I don't have time naming it. So you see. So if I turn off one, you see what just happened. Oof. I'm happy this happened. So this guy here needs to be set towards to fill. Ladies and gentlemen. So when you toggle off one of it is unmoved because as it's going off, this guy is occupying the space. Woof, can I preach? See, this is why auto layout class is important. People should watch out for the video. Oof, this is gonna be so good. Right, so the same way we did all of these states, right? You just go ahead and create different states, right? So here we just have this state. Probably call this active, right? Let's make it default, right? So the color has to be somewhat right around here, like so. Just laid back. This guy probably needs to, since it's the label now, come out a little bit, right? So yeah, you can go ahead and start creating variants. This is a way to, top right variant. right? Then this variant here, you can make it the stroke, right? You can make it focused. So focused is probably on click, right? On click, right? Then you know the focus thing that happens with your input field. This happens, right? So yeah, that. So now you can create as many states as possible, right? Many states as possible. Remember the same logic. You come here, the first one is default, second one is focused, right? Now, same thing goes for the text, guys. Same thing goes for the text, right? Now, the text, now you can click on this guy, go to your typography. Now, you can choose to go through the long route. I mean, what I taught you, click on the create property and then come here to apply. You still have to come here. Why not just come here and create a straight up label? Boom. Yeah, placeholder. Come here. Instead of applying the same one that will give you the same thing, you create a different property for the text and call it placeholder. And call it placeholder. Now, this way, this particular instance, I don't have to enter to edit. I can just say name. I can say name like this, e.g. Timothy. By me, is that simple? Is that simple? Right? Is that simple? So right, you can go ahead and keep on doing this. Of course, we already spoke on how you can edit your element and all of that. You can edit it from the master set if you know exactly what you're doing. So that's you need to go do more studies on icons and how they scale. Study existing icon libraries to properly know how to create your icons. But right, ladies and gentlemen, this comes to the end of my class. I don't think hmm, hmm, I hope I was really hoping this would be an interactive session where probably I could talk about whatever. So you know, icons like this, you can create variants for radius. So you can say button style. You can create a different property and call it button style and say radius normal. Or you know, so yes, please. Thank you very much. God bless you all. See you guys in the next lesson. Boom, boom, boom.